Writing an introduction paragraph for an argumentative essay does not need to be difficult if you follow these basic steps. An argumentative essay takes a position or an opinion on a certain topic and tries to convince the reader that their point of view is true or correct. The essay will provide evidence and reasons to support their point of view. When developing an argument, it is good to remember that there are always at least two sides to an argument. In the introduction paragraph, you will need to introduce the different sides and give your opinion about which side you believe has the strongest evidence. The introduction paragraph should include a hook, some background information, and a thesis statement. Welcome to writing better sentences, paragraphs, and essays. If you need help with practicing your writing skills, check out these workbooks that can be useful in improving your academic writing skills. The link is in the description below. First, let's talk about the hook. There are several different ways that you can encourage the reader to be interested in your topic. One way is to surprise the reader with some kind of information. It might be an interesting or unknown fact, or something that seems to contradict what people already know. This information will make the reader want to continue to read to find out what you have to show them. Another technique is to ask a question. This would be something that needs an answer, which the essay will provide. It could be a question about something that people have not thought about before, and therefore would want to have an answer for. A third way to write a hook is by using facts or statistics. You will need to make sure you do use actual facts and information. A fourth way is to use a quotation, especially if writing about a certain person or some influencer for a specific topic. Choosing one of these types of hooks to interest your reader into reading more of your essay is what the hook is designed to do. The next part of your introduction paragraph should include some background information about your topic. You need to explain the basic information about your topic, as well as any words or ideas which need explanation. Think about your topic from the perspective of your reader, and think about what information they might need to know to be able to understand your essay clearly. Some good questions to ask about your topic are these: who, what, where, when, why, how. Questions like, who would benefit from this? What are some challenges that need to be overcome? Where would this be beneficial? When was this first discovered? Why is this the best solution? How can this idea be helpful? Ask yourself some questions about the topic that you think people might need to know to understand your essay better. The final thing you need to write for your introduction paragraph is your thesis statement. This is a statement that expresses the main idea or argument of an essay. It's usually the last sentence in the introduction paragraph. The thesis statement should contain the subtopics, which will be used as the paragraph topics in the body section of the essay. The order of the subtopics should be the same for both the thesis statement and the body paragraphs. Let's look at a sample introduction paragraph. Let's say that your assignment is to answer this question: should there be a universal basic income? You may want to give a definition of what universal basic income is, in case there are some readers who do not know what this means. Universal basic income is an unconditional cash payment given at regular intervals by the government to all residents, regardless of their earnings or employment status. Another thing that you might want to do is to make a list of the pros and cons about universal basic income to decide how you want to organize your essay. After doing some research, you may have found this information about the pros and cons of universal basic income. For the pros, the people who are in favor of this concept, they say that this would reduce poverty, reduce income inequality, and improve physical and mental health. For those that are against this idea, they state that there would be a high cost. It would remove incentive to work, and there would be risks of inflation. You will now need to decide which ideas you want to prove in your own essay. Now that you're ready to write your introduction paragraph, you will need to think of a good hook, something that will interest your reader to continue reading your essay. You could use the surprise the reader type of hook. You might write something like this. Some form of universal basic income has already been implemented in at least 3 countries. Or you might start with some kind of fact or statistic. The cost of implementing universal basic income in the United States is estimated to be around $3.9 trillion per year. Then you would follow with the background information. You might write something like this. Universal basic income has gained interest in the past few years due to weak economic and wage growth rates in many parts of the world. Universal basic income is an unconditional cash payment given at regular intervals by the government to all residents, regardless of their earnings or employment status. In many countries, insecure employment and worries about technology, especially AI, have caused many people to become concerned about their ability to provide for their families. You can see that we have answered what UBI is, as well as why this is being considered. Next, you need to write your thesis statement. If you decide that there are more benefits to this idea than drawbacks, your thesis statement might look something like this. Although universal basic income appears to promise to reduce income inequality and improve mental health for many lower-income workers, the cost is not sustainable. You can see here that your position is that it is not financially possible or sustainable, even though there may be some benefits to this idea. In your essay, you will show that there are some benefits, but that the cost would be prohibitive. If you decide that the benefits outweigh the costs, your thesis statement might look like this. Implementing universal basic income is costly. However, the impact on health and well-being, as well as income security for the most vulnerable, makes this method of redistributing wealth an attractive alternative. I think you can see that in this thesis statement, you have shown that there is one demerit or disadvantage, but there are more merits than demerits to this idea. The completed introduction paragraph for the first opinion might look something like this. It is said that the cost of implementing universal basic income in the United States is estimated to be around $3.9 trillion per year. Universal basic income is an unconditional cash payment given at regular intervals by the government to all residents, regardless of their earnings or employment status. UBI has gained interest in the past few years due to weak economic and wage growth rates in many parts of the world, and insecure employment and worries about technology, especially AI, have caused many people to become more concerned about their ability to provide for their families. Although universal basic income appears to promise to reduce income inequality and improve mental health for many lower-income workers, the cost is not sustainable. If you decide on the option that this idea is a good one, you might write your paragraph like this. Universal basic income has already been implemented, at least in part, in at least 3 countries. And then you would include your background information, followed by the thesis statement about your opinion. Implementing universal basic income may prove costly. However, the impact on health and well-being, as well as income security for the most vulnerable, makes this method of redistributing wealth an attractive alternative. You can see that no matter which direction your opinion might take, you will present both sides of the argument and use your essay to convince your reader that, although there may be certain benefits or problems, your viewpoint needs to be considered. I hope you can see that writing an argumentative essay introduction is not that difficult. You need to remember that the argumentative essay takes a position on a certain topic and tries to convince the reader that your point of view is true or correct. And in the introduction paragraph, you'll need to introduce both sides and give your opinion about which side you believe has the strongest evidence. The introduction paragraph should include some kind of hook, some background information, and a thesis statement. For your next argumentative essay assignment, I hope you'll try using this method to write your introduction paragraph. Happy writing!